Now what happens? Say we take like this pressure cooker, right? We take all your crap, everything that's going on in your marriage, all the situations, everything like that, and we put it in there, and we put the lid, and we shove it, right? And we're gonna shove it, and we're gonna like close it, and we like seal it up tight. Okay, we're gonna seal it up really tight. And now we're gonna go put this. We're gonna put this on the stove. So imagine we just put this on the stove. Put it on the stove right now, and it's going, and it's going, and it's going, and it's come to temperature, and it's boiling up. What happens when we don't take it off? What happens when we don't take it off, when we don't release the pressure? See, here's the thing. It's the same thing in your relationship. When you sit there and you let this pot go, and you let this pot fester, and you're putting everything in it, and it's pressuring and pressuring and pressuring, and the pressure doesn't get released, the problems doesn't get discussed, what happens? You've got an explosion on your hands. So what happens when you either go to your spouse or they come to you and like, what's going on? This thing goes, and it goes everywhere. And then you end up with like this there, this sprays everywhere, a mess, and you're like, I didn't see this coming. What happened? And you're like, I just asked you, how are you doing? And the pot explodes, right? And that's the thing. This is what's happening in a lot of marriages and a lot of communications, right? You're sitting there and you're letting everything fester. You're just filling this pot. You're filling this pot. You're filling this pot. And instead of like talking about it, you're taking the lid, you're shutting it on, putting it on the heat, and just letting it simmer, and you're just going, and it's going, and it's going, and it gets to a point where it's getting to a point where it's so dangerous, it is so unsafe, it's become so toxic that nobody can, like, you're like, call the ambulance, call the fire brigade, because we can't even get into the kitchen anymore, because it's so crazy, right? And this is the thing, it's okay to have problems, it's okay to have issues in your marriage, but just like a pressure cooker, you gotta turn the handle, you gotta release. And this is the thing, when it comes to a certain point, like, oh, it's come to temperature now, where you're like, okay, hey, we need to talk about this in a relationship. When you get to that stage, that's when you turn the handle, you release it, you release the steam, and you go, ah, and you hear that beautiful sing of that pressure being released. That is the beauty of just like, the situation being spoken about, the situation being released, the problem just going away now, okay? So here's the thing. You don't want to fester anything. You don't want anything to just sit there and go crazy and just like about to explode. You want to talk about it. You want to get into the habit of having discussions as they arise. Yes, sometimes it may not be appropriate then and there in that moment, but have a discussion that evening, that day, or schedule it so that you don't ever get to a point where you're such a pressure cake overexposed, right? And you become a hazard to yourself and those around you, because we don't want that, okay? We don't want that. Talk it out. Talk to your spouse. Talk it out. It's the best thing in your relationship to talk it out, okay?